So that's super dope. I just need to make sure the audio and everything is working great. And once I can confirm that, we'll get into the interview, and I'll just stick around on palworld in the meantime. So what I need to do now is just confirm that everything is working. Why do I keep closing it? Because I'm retarded.
Fuck.
Okay, potty mouth. Okay, now just double checking that the audio is working. That I can hear myself, and you guys can hear the video. And as soon as I get that confirmation,
Fuck. Okay, potty mouth. Okay, now just double checking that the audio.
All right, cool. Yeah, we got it.
I can hear myself, and you guys.
Looks like we're good to go. Okay, I don't know what I expect Kat to get into. I don't expect him to be as candid as he was on the Shannon Sharp show. Also, I don't know if he's got the same kind of chip on his shoulder that he did when he went on that interview. Also, like, I know Kat, he's thinking, like, this is the white man's platform. I need to be more careful. But we'll see what he gets into. I'm not expecting it to be as nearly as interesting or as exciting as the Shannon Sharp interview. I just don't see Kat delivering that kind of interview 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row. And I don't see Joe. He's very optics aware, and he's most likely going to try to protect Kat from doing any damage to his public image to the best of his ability. And then we'll see. I think the main reason that Joe had Kat on is because Kat said Joe wouldn't have him on. You know what I hope he asks? I hope he asks him to name the 6 unfunny comedians that surround Joe Rogan that he mentioned in the Shannon Sharp interview. That would be really funny. I know for a fact Brendan Schraub and Bert Kreischer are 2. Theo Vaughn's not my cup of tea, but he does say like whimsical, impish, funny things. He's kind of like a one-liner machine. But I like him. I like Theo Vaughn. Who else is a Joe Rogan adjacent comedian? I think Tim Dillon is hilarious. Like, Tim Dillon is, and Shane Gillis, those guys are really funny. So I know those aren't the guys. But I don't know, maybe he'll ask him, maybe he won't.
It was always 2 ships in the night.
Right. I would see you and not be able to get to you. Like,
Or what he mean by that?
comedy is small, but only if you're me.
Also, I'm back into palworld. Supposedly they broke and then fixed the breeding, right? And right now I'm trying to make a perfect jet dragon and a perfect fangalope. So hopefully, there was a patch the day before yesterday, and then maybe there was 2 patches yesterday. Once they realized they had broken breeding, supposedly it's fixed now, and we'll see, because that's what I'm doing right now is breeding. So I probably won't interrupt for gameplay conversations because it's all very tedious. Unless it'll mostly be just to if I have anything I feel like I need to say in response to the interview.
Mediocre. It's big. It's a vast place.
It's vast, and it's also small because there's so few of us. And worldwide, we were talking about this the other day. There's maybe 500 of us on the planet. You know, you got to be real generous.
You know, Joe Rogan puts a lot of importance, like, on the role of comedians in public discourse, and he may be right, because there was some very important, some of the most important people have come out of comedy. For instance, Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was hugely influential to a lot of people. Um, there was also Lenny Bruce. There's many influential comedians. Richard Pryor, um, Dice. Lots of guys who are super entertaining and push the boundaries. And in a time like today where we have so many boundaries that need to be pushed, people like comedians are important, but I feel like a lot of times Joe does a lot of self-aggrandizing, as to maybe he overstates the importance of comedians, especially if they're not pushing boundaries, right? Like Shane Gillis is really funny, and a lot of people on the right wing support him because of what happened to him. But I wouldn't say that Shane Gillis is one of our guys. If anything, when I listen to his comedy, I get the impression he is a guy who wants to be accepted by the mainstream media. So he does a lot more right wing bashing than he does supporting. And it's a little misguided because all the support he got when he was canceled came from our side. And don't shit where you eat, man. I mean, he's not outright shitting on us. Like he'll say that he finds Trump entertaining, but then he'll cast aspersions on him as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Cat calls out in this interview.
Interesting to say 500 because it's really probably about 250.
Right.
Like legit comics, guys you want to hang out with, guys who are fun. Guys who
your numbers going down.
The numbers going down.
Your numbers going down.
Guys he'd recommend, leave your house, get a babysitter. The numbers going down. It's not a lot of people.
Right.
You think about the billions and billions of people on the planet. There's
He's trapped.
A smidgen of us.
Well, as children, we all take to talking with ease. And so the fact that later on in your life, you be one of the people that could say, I talk for a living, is an amazing honor.
It's amazing.
Even if you look 1,000 years back.
Yeah, especially today. To just be able to talk for a living? Oh my God.
That's the goal.
That's the problem also with what we do, is that everybody can talk. So they see you talking, they're like, I could do this.
I could do that.
Right.
He's just up there talking.
And the better you do it, the easier it looks,
Right.
which is part of the trap.
Yeah, it's part of the trap.
It looks like he doesn't think about what he says. He just says stuff. But you couldn't be as accurate.
No. And then there's hanging around with comics and getting to know about shit like their electric Rolls Royces.
Who got an electric Rolls Royce? That's interesting, actually.
Right. If Satan hits me, just know I'm hitting back immediately. You're going to know about it if I've never heard it. Yeah, the electric.
It's the cake factory.
That thing is insane. That thing's insane. Just the way the doors open up, the way the doors close when you touch the brakes. Totally silent.
For the price point, it would have to be perfect. And the whole thing is, it is. And that's what you're trying to do in any genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're trying to find that thing that is flawless in that genre.
Right.
And that's it.
That's the Rolls Royce. I've never had one of those.
Right. Well, because it's important to you that you be grounded in the important ways. So I can see you not having not had a Rolls Royce. I've had 4 or 5.
I'm not opposed to it. It's just the idea of it to me is like, don't do that. For me, I'm always like, get away from that. Go get yourself
Right.
a muscle car.
Well, see, you see what I mean? Yeah, because we live vicariously through these things, and it's been that way for all of humankind. I'm
Sure.
saying it was still like that for the Roman and his chariot.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's how he felt. Like that's how horsemen feel about.
He's talking about the connection between a man and his car, and he couldn't be more right. That's the one thing. If Teslas weren't cool cars, then Elon wouldn't be the important figure he is today. Men, especially, our cars are very precious to us, and I've always been the kind of person who can appreciate any car, good or bad. Like I loved the crappy car that I learned to drive stick in, just as much as I love the car I have now. Guys just have this innate. We're able to anthropomorphize the technology around us and the mechanical stuff around us, and find connection with machines. It's just something guys do.
Out that ride, you know, like
Yeah.
transportation and people have a love story.
Yeah, that's really the only object that I'm really into. Like I'm
Vehicles.
into vehicles. I'm into mechanical vehicles.
Right.
There's like something about mechanical vehicles that just speak to me. I love them. I love looking at them. I love sitting in them. I love driving them.
It's
just
two
like, it's
crappy
one of the things that
pingulets.
people say like money can't buy you happiness. That's definitely true.
But it can buy you a
You're
dope
not gonna
car.
get happier if you get rich. But if you're already reasonably happy and you can afford a nice muscle car, god damn, you'll feel happier. You will feel
But-
happier
But every time.
every time.
So
you
what
drive
I'm
it.
saying is, when I got the '67 Chevy Camaro, I needed no other cars. I was complete. When I got the Grand National, you couldn't
Ooh.
tell me anything. There was nothing on.
Okay, if you don't know what a Buick Grand National is, it is a dope fucking car. This is what he's talking about right here. The Buick Grand National, they actually made the Buick Grand National, and then they made a version above that called the GNX. They essentially look the same. The GNX just has more power and more badging. This is it, man. They said it was Darth Vader's car. That's what made it cool. Back in the day, it's 87. Yeah, 87. A very beautiful black Buick. At the time it was released, it was faster than the Corvette, which is like a no-no at GM. You don't make something quicker than the flagship. 3.8 liter turbo V6 in an American car. It was basically our Supra. These things routinely it has a cast iron V6 block. You just get a bigger turbo, turn the boost up, maybe go forged internals if you're going to make huge power. These things routinely do wheel stands and just walk V8s at drag strips. It's crazy he said Grand National, man, because I love that car, man. I really love that fucking car.
the highway that was.
Yo, what happened? What happened to Cat? Did I hit the fucking X button again? My goodness, my boy. I promise I won't do that again. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's me. Do I got my
That
pop
was
up?
of my ilk.
Yeah.
But I've felt that way 12, 13 times. That's what makes it real love.
Yeah, they give you real joy
Yeah.
every time you drive them.
And you feel like that
Leave 'em
character
alone.
in that movie. You
Fuck
know?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you drive a 1970 Chevelle, you feel like John Wick.
yeah, it's a sacred place. There's music
I got
there.
you.
There's
Yeah.
recklessness, but there's safety.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like it gets to
Thrills.
the essence of a being.
And I think it's a thing that won't exist 100 years from now. I think automated driving will be mandatory. I really do. I think we're about
Well.
100 years away. 100 years away from no personal automobiles. No control of your vehicle. We're going to stop all crashes. We can stop all crashes and all highway deaths. Come on, Kat. Won't you contribute and give up all your rights to drive? We're
Yes.
going to stop all death.
Yeah, it's not, but understand that all of these things have financial benefits, and then they use those perks you just mentioned to get you in. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But somebody's making money.
I believe that it'll be mandatory, but for practical reasons, like this thing where the police want
You're
you
dead,
and they have
buddy.
to chase you, and you may get away. Those days are done.
Yeah, they're just
You
going to
see what I'm
shut your car off. Yeah.
your
Oh,
car
yeah.
is going to do what they
Yeah.
tell it to do,
Yeah.
which is get behind this patrol car and follow us to the station.
Right.
Lock the
Speculation
doors,
that
like-
they've had that for a long time. You know?
At least on the new
There
vehicles.
was,
I bet they
that,
do.
That famous journalist, Michael Hastings, what was his name? There's this journalist. I don't know if you know this story, but it's pretty crazy. This guy went to Afghanistan. So Afghanistan with the troops, and he was only supposed to be there writing a Rolling Stone article about this general for a very short amount of time. But then there was the volcano in Iceland, and the volcano in Iceland stopped air travel. So this journalist from the Rolling Stone was embedded in this troop, and they started talking shit. And he started reporting the shit that they were talking, including disparaging comments that the general had said about Obama. So the general gets back. He has to retire. He has to, it's the Rolling Stone exposed. It's a big deal because everybody loves this general. So he retires, and this Michael Hastings guy is on the run, and he's terrified. He's telling people, if I commit suicide, I did not kill myself. People are threatening my life. And then he's going down La Brea, and his car is going like 120 miles an hour. And just
wide open throttle
slams
stuck
into a tree and explodes. And there's a video footage of it. This dude is just flying. Look at that, flying down the street. Hits a tree, and the car explodes. And they asked security experts at that time. I think this was like 2005, 4.
Ooh, that's a good one.
2005. Is it possible to control a vehicle remotely? They said, does your vehicle have a computer? If your vehicle has a computer, they can control it. Period.
Fireball's good.
And they know that.
And they've been doing that for, this is
2010.
2010. So this is 14 fucking years ago.
Easy peasy.
If they could do that then, what can they do now? They just shut your fucking car right off.
That's what his article came out. I'm sorry. So I think the accident was.
Oh, it's a flam bell.
Oh.
There you go.
I thought it was a
in
fox.
2010 if the accident's in 2013.
Well, the article came out first and exposed McChrystal.
Oh, the Rolling Stone
yeah,
article.
yeah,
I thought you meant
yeah.
the article
No,
on the accident.
If you actually do reading about Tesla, see, that's the thing, Joe. That's why I love history so much, because once you find out that this world is a circle, you can never get lost. Like,
Right.
you can look at certain things and it'll
Patterns.
tell you what's going to happen later, like with amazing.
I think he's meaning that history is cyclical and repeats itself. For a second there, I thought homie said, like, circle isn't flat, which it wouldn't surprise me if he believed something like that. It's not crazy to not believe liars, because liars lie, and our government's liars. But, yeah, that would be wild if he went full flat earth, like, within the first 10 minutes on JRE.
Accuracy, like yeah,
No.
like that's how I knew
He's
that
stuck.
things like what you showed me with Hastings, that those were real things.
Yeah.
It's not,
They've always been real.
everybody who has ever been killed in one of those ways, there was a financial benefit to it. It was obvious, it was easy, you know where it came from. It's just that they do a good job. But how is that difficult if that's your job? Like, they
Exactly.
do this really well. They do it worldwide.
Also, this guy fucked with the worst person you could fuck with. A high-ranking, beloved general who's in charge of trained killers who love him. And you don't think he could put one of those dudes on you with a coffee meeting? Just have to sit down at Starbucks
Hell yeah.
with no phones on you?
You
And
did
let me
as
explain
fuck,
what's going
boy.
on?
A shadow government is no more difficult than a government.
Yeah. And so, not only that, they don't have to get elected. It's even better. Even nicer.
The
They can
powers
get a
that
long
be.
time. They can, think about J. Edgar Hoover. How long did that motherfucker stay in power for? He was running the FBI wearing a dress for like 30 years.
Because of what you just
Compromised as well.
Yeah.
Like there are that's why I can speak with impunity about the Illuminati, because
He's a
I
victim.
know who you would have to be in order for what I'm saying to bother you, number one.
Right.
Number two, I know your big secret. I know that you're not the Illuminati, I am. So you can't be illuminated. You're too dark. But
Yeah, Illuminati essentially
the
means
difficulty
the
is
enlightened
getting people
ones.
to believe something that they don't want to believe. And in each of these cases, this is where the money is. If you're just a capitalist, it is find something, establish a value for it, and make sure that includes
Where's my
your
sword?
profit, and make sure people really want it.
Right.
it's very fundamental.
Also, if you're running corporations and you're
Yeah.
making billions of
There it
dollars,
is.
Yeah.
you're going to get bored. What's the ultimate game? The ultimate game is to run the whole world. You know what the
Yeah.
ultimate game is, Kat?
I do.
We have an overpopulation problem, Kat.
Yeah.
It's an overpopulation
Carbon fiber.
problem.
Right.
And we're gonna be able to mitigate that with vaccines. We're gonna be able to mitigate that with healthcare.
Bill Gates. He's quoting Bill Gates. Say Bill Gates.
A bunch of people.
We
Say
used
his-
to be able to do it with
say his
neglect, and it was called nature's way.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like whatever was ailing you, it wasn't ailing everybody in the world. The Chinese didn't have it because they
Right.
had 6,000 herbs 6,000 years ago and knew what each one did, and like
You know, people are very resistant to that.
It's for carbon fiber.
And they don't realize that almost all pharmaceutical drugs come from plants.
you can't be against the original.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like-
That's government propaganda working on you. That's like remember when they had Marinol, when they were making weed illegal, and the people were going through cancer, and their doctors had prescribed them weed for chemotherapy, so they gave them Marinol. Do you remember that shit?
I do.
It's like a synthetic version of weed that's terrible.
Shit, spice was dangerous.
But terrible.
K2 and
is
spice were horrible.
subjective
Right.
to nothing. So they have this oil-like cannabis that is for people having seizures.
Right.
And it's the only thing that will stop a seizure.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It is. But
Getting
here's
low
the
on
thing.
coal.
The fact that there is a God is the biggest conversation worldwide. But the truth of the matter is, there is more reason for you to believe there is a God than there is for you to not. Like the way that things interact, like if we're just talking about marijuana or alcohol or whatever that is, you have to understand that this thing serves no other purpose than to bring pleasure to this small
Group of elite.
beings.
Right.
And the fact that it already was set up to do that, the fact that it was already set up on this planet for there to be medicines for us to find and to utilize. And
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
it's not like, oh,
There's a natural
yeah,
cure
so
for
he made
everything.
a cow. No, to make a cow, it means you had to also have made grass. And it means you would have had to have invented a whole new eating system for this animal, which was cud. And that means you would then have to have given him 3 stomachs to be able to, and you would have to have known that he was going
600.
to emit a gas that was going to be necessary
Methane.
on the planet. Like
Yeah.
none of these things
Fertilizer, all of
are
it.
right. The fact that
Seeds.
everything goes together is how you know.
It's pretty wild. And every time we step in and fuck with it, it goes haywire.
Right.
Every time human beings do it.
Predictably haywire. though.
Haywire.
Right.
Haywire.
Right, but that's part of
Swift and
that's
nimble,
part of the
runner
benefits
nimble.
of free will.
Mm-hmm.
Is you really can jump into a volcano, dude.
Yeah. Haywire.
You really
Yeah.
can.
Do you want to lower
Think about what
population?
we've done.
Start with yourself, Bill Gates.
The craziest thing in this country, especially
Runner,
right here, is
nimble,
pigs.
hooligan.
Bro,
said
wild
mine.
pigs everywhere.
That's not it?
And there's so many of them. I went to a friend of mine's farm, or well, it's like a ranch, to hunt wild pigs,
Yeah.
and you just hear them like Lord of the Rings characters in the bushes. And there's 150 of them near you, 250 of
Yeah,
them,
overpopulated.
thousands on the ranch.
That's
They're
why-
all over
that's
the
why you
place,
can
and
kill
they
them
have
in
3 litters
Texas.
a year, and they start having litters when they're 6 months old. They just pump out piglets.
Okay, what do we
Let's
got
go.
here?
You can tell they're not delicious.
Legend,
delicious.
Divine Dragon,
Oh,
nimble,
well, then here we go. Then
They're-
we don't
they're
really have
delicious.
a problem. Then,
Right.
do we?
Swift and
No, we
nimble.
have
I
a
need a
PDA
girl.
problem.
I need a girl
No,
with nimble.
We need to.
Cause I've got
be
boys with runner.
Sending this off somewhere
Yeah.
to someone who does.
Well, definitely
Swift.
should. That would be an easy way to solve a lot of hunger problems.
I'm saying we live in a country where
Yeah.
we're complaining about food sources.
It's a good point.
These chickens are pecking us to death. They're
Is it a girl?
everywhere. I can't even sleep. Yeah, but they're delicious,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Have more chickens. Yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
it looks like they fixed
Yeah,
breeding.
we do have an overabundance problem for sure. We really do.
Let's go.
The thing is a wild one. It's hard to get them. Like they're very smart and they spread out and there's so fucking many of them. They shoot them with helicopters. They
Oh,
fly
yeah, I've
over
seen
them.
it. Right.
I haven't been invited 3 times since I moved here to go shoot pigs out of a helicopter.
But that's part of the reason that you came to Texas.
The freedom, for sure.
Texas is
Hell
a place
yeah.
of great adventure.
Yeah.
And people who believe in that.
Oops,
Yeah.
made one more than I
Really
needed.
God's country in the right place.
Hatchet anyway.
It is in the right places. I think you're going to have
Texas,
annoying
yeah.
people
Texas is
everywhere you
great.
go in this world. But
Fuck
in
you, Joe.
general,
Get the
I
fuck
think
out then.
people here overall are nicer. They're friendlier.
All right, I take
they're
it
not
back.
Captured.
We good.
They're not captured by the ether of Hollywood. That they
We
haven't
good,
been
homie.
sucked into the vortex of ideological thinking and just that weirdness of that town. So when you escape that and just be around regular people, you're like, oh, people are all right. I've just been in an insane asylum. You're looking for a girlfriend. You know, like you
damn
have
Skippy.
to be in a place where you're around good people.
He's too
like
fast.
normal
Get back
people.
here.
That's better for you.
You're not trying to say that people that happen to live
I'll hit him if I have
there
to.
are not nice people.
There's a
Now,
lot of nice people there, for sure.
Here's the thing. Hopefully we can agree that the problem is with extremes.
Yes.
Extreme anything.
Yes.
Extreme left is
All
as
things in
vicious
moderation.
and as far right.
Yep.
It's the middleness of it all that makes America great.
All
And
right.
Texas has been front and center of that forever.
I think a big part of it, though, is how much does your government control you? Even when things don't even make sense. Like in California, they made flavored vapes illegal. Can you imagine? You're
Yeah.
like, strawberry mist is our number one
That was
problem.
fine, but they let it also.
Yeah, the flavored vape thing was because flavored tobaccos tend to be particularly enticing to children. And all things are a gateway. You don't want this smoke, bro. Oh. Oops. Boop.
So hurt black people in that it counted menthol as a flavor and hurt Newport.
So you can't sell menthol cigarettes in California.
Right, they
That
have their own cigarettes.
is
They have
wild.
non-menthol Newports. It's terrible.
Why do black people like menthol so much? What's that about? It's a totally different type of cigarette.
You're gonna get me canceled.
No.
Why do
It's a
black
very
people like
racist
menthol so much?
conversation, even though neither of us are. Go figure.
Just talking about a
It's
type of cigarette that
us
people
saying,
enjoy?
just saying, why do black people like Newport so much?
Wild
And
alphas
a
take
black
so
person
long, much
actually
faster.
Getting ready to answer this.
It makes you a he just trying not to be a coon.
I don't think it is.
Well, I don't think it is either because we have a.
He doesn't want to be
It's like
seen
you
as a
start asking me
coon.
about spaghetti. I'm not going to get offended. You start
It's
asking
not.
me
There
about
isn't a
spaghetti,
history
why
of.
do I talk so loud. I'm not going to get
Okay,
How
that's a
many people
little-
have ever died of pasta-related illnesses?
a lot.
Joe.
A lot of fatsos out there kicking the bucket, bro.
That's not because of
That's
pasta.
an overabundance of carbohydrates.
They were
sir.
going to be fat wherever they lived, sir.
Maybe. That's an overindulgence.
Going to be great bread eaters in
Delicious high
Uzbekistan.
carbohydrate food. They couldn't stop it. People are addicted to food like they're addicted to anything. And if there's a thing that I could ever be addicted to, it's that.
Right. That's all of us, though.
All of us.
And what a blessing.
Yeah. We have so much.
Starving people are addicted
Exactly.
to anything, and they don't have food-related illnesses.
Exactly.
But back
Yeah,
to
we're so lucky we have
Yeah.
the fattest poor
you were
people.
asking me about
I
the-
really mean
I
that.
the menthol cigarettes.
Oh, that's right.
And the answer is
It's a privilege to have such fat poor people. We do such a good job feeding our poor people that they're morbidly obese.
we value strength in product. So there's this whole thing with liquor and malt liquor and the
I forgot a flying mount.
difference between the two, and one is richer and stronger.
the
And,
more potent version.
Right. And as
Okay, that makes
as a
sense.
people
There it
tend
is.
to go with those products.
Things that are stronger. That makes sense.
Right. Like before things were called concentrate.
Yeah.
That's what we appreciated.
That makes sense.
Concentrate.
Fuck him up.
The fact
Shoot
that,
his ass.
Menthol is a natural,
Cover me while I reload.
so you know
Right.
anybody who is
What do you mean you're out of bullets?
south knows about mint plants and
And menthol
You
used
always-
as a skincare product, like
Yeah.
injuries and
I
shit.
forgot to call him back.
you appreciate that as a flavor profile as well.
Right.
You know,
That makes sense.
We killed his ass.
the mint julep.
It's just telling people they can't have that anymore. Who
That
the
thing's
fuck
dead.
Are you? That's
Well-
my position.
Well, and that's a noble position, and we appreciate the fact that you represent that. But the truth
shot
of the
that shit at
matter
me?
is not pretty, and the truth of the matter is that most people would like to be controlled more by their government if they
Make
had.
it easier. Maybe.
Most people are all for government control, as long
Yeah.
as they don't have to discuss it.
Yeah. As long as it works in their favor.
It's
They give up a
disgusting.
lot of rights. And then hopefully the next
People
administration that's
choose their
Generally
slavery.
worthless at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck
Well,
good are your
a lot
rights
of
if
people
police
think the
can
government
violate them
make
at any
life
moment?
easy. A lot of people have it hard, right? So the government
Yeah.
comes in and says, I'm going to make it easier for you, but I'm going
Right.
to need certain requirements of you. I'm going to need you to have a digital ID. That digital ID will be attached to a social credit score. And
Yeah, we're going the way of
give
China.
You universal basic income. You no longer.
We're gonna
have
need
to
universal
worry
basic
about
income
food or
eventually.
shelter.
There's just not
You'll
enough
be
jobs to
taken
go
care of.
around.
Now you can pursue your dreams.
Is this the mark of the beast you're
Yeah,
speaking of, sir?
I think it is.
Right.
Look
That's the whole thing. Is it's never been difficult at any point in history. Like we got a dude right now that's telling you front and center that I put a computer in somebody's head, guys.
Right.
Elon Musk.
Like
Yeah. And everybody's going, yay.
it's the greatest thing in the world, sir.
Yeah.
But we understood this 15, 20, 25 years ago. We understood while watching Tron or while watching Cyborg, we understood that there was just this small line medically that needed to be crossed in order for us to be able to do these things.
Yeah.
Like if you can hook a battery up to an octopus and make it go like this, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Why? Because this is a
Okay, let's
machine
get back to
that we
base.
It's a biological machine.
have. Right, and once
Yeah.
you understand it, you understand it.
Yeah. And you
West.
could fuck with that machine. You could juice it up. You could fucking get it stronger, get it smarter.
This
you can do
is-
a lot of things. with
AI
it.
is
This is what
terrifying.
the Anunnaki said. This
Oh,
is how
shit.
you know that these are not made up things from people's
We was
imagination, because everything is too factual. Like this necklace, right?
Right.
People online were like, "Yeah, is that Buddhist or that's this or that?" It's none of that. Like I just try to find the answers to things. So
Is that a ship wheel?
I designed this because this is that thing that you see that all the Anunnaki guys that have that look like a wristwatch, and they always have it, and you're always trying to see what that is.
what is
Yeah, they got that
It
purse
is
thing,
a
too.
time, and it's a compass. It's a timekeeping compass.
That's what that
So,
is?
Yeah. So
These things are tough.
that's what made the carrier of great importance.
I bet it's chasing
Because
me.
he was able to do things that were magical in nature, like go somewhere and get right back. Like, you know what I mean?
So, yeah,
like
that thing on the wrist was a compass?
a timekeeping
Timekeeping compass.
He's thinking of the Antikytherian mechanism.
Oh, right. So you had to believe in things that didn't exist.
Wake up
at
and
some
fuck.
point, like magnetics and distance and
Right.
probabilities.
That was a
and-
terrible egg. Terrible egg.
Right. That's how, like, if you were to read like thousands of books about people that knew a bunch of shit, like you start finding out that it's not really about knowing anything. It's
Runner
about
nimble.
where to go to get the information.
Swift, nimble,
You know what I
send
mean?
mind.
So like when we look at all the ruins all around the world, like we're not seeing ruins of colleges and universities and all of that. We're seeing temples and synagogues and churches, but people don't understand that that's where that information was coming from for that period of time.
16
when we
minutes.
went to these temples, they
Runner
weren't in
Swift
there
legend.
singing and reading from a book. They
Nimble
were in
Swift
there
legend.
being taught things that they were able to go put
Runner
into
Swift
practice.
legend.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they were being taught art, agriculture. You know what I mean? Like they were being taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems pretty evident that like ancient cultures were given like language appeared in Sumeria complete. They had a complete alphabet and language, and even their architecture. Like the older the pyramids are, the better they are. There seems to be a degradation over time.
They had some very bizarre knowledge too. They had a detailed knowledge of cosmology. They had a really detailed knowledge of our solar system.
100% of the writings across the world, whoever said anything about space or the universe or what was out there, why were all of them correct, Joe? It's not even possible. Like,
Yeah, they guessed right.
how
you mean?
did they know that Mars was the red planet, and why was it a worldwide fact?
Right.
Planetarily, that Saturn had rings, like
Yeah.
based upon what information? Because nobody worldwide is disagreeing. Nobody's like, oh, I thought of this, or it came to me in a dream. Nobody's saying that anywhere in anybody's civilization. Everybody's civilization says this information came from the people that came from there.
Yeah.
There's, like, there are no coincidences.
Yeah, we could take them at their
I
word.
know that Mars used to have an atmosphere. Mars used to have an atmosphere. It used to have water. Something happened to its environment.
If that's correct, then there's a
Yeah.
guy right now saying he's getting ready to put people up there.
Yep. Exactly.
You see?
Restart it all over again.
50 years ago, there was no water in our whole universe. Let them tell it. Now there's been water almost everywhere. There's water on the moon, for crying out
Are
loud.
you familiar with the Younger Dryas impact theory?
Oh, I forgot to grab a flying
Say
mount.
what
The
it
Younger
is.
Dryas impact theory is a theory that Earth
There was an
goes through
asteroid.
a cycle of like comet storms every June and every November, and most of the time nothing happens. But every now and again we get hit. We get hit big, and they think we got hit big 11,800 plus years ago, and that had to restart civilization. And that what you're seeing from like Mesopotamia, all these people 6,000 years later, they think that is a rebuilding of civilization that was already like just whispers and stories and tales, and then they rebuilt it again thousands of years later. But if you go back to like 11,800 BC, 11,800 years ago, you're dealing with what we thought were hunter-gatherers, and now we know they weren't. Now we know they built complex stone structures, and the real speculation is they think that the people who built the pyramids built them way earlier than the
At least the
conventional
Sphinx.
dating is.
The Sphinx has water
There's
erosion.
real evidence that shows
No.
they're 9,000, 11,000 years old.
He's gonna say no shit.
No people built the pyramids.
No people?
No.
Who
They
built
were built with sound.
No people built the pyramids.
That's Eddie Griffin.
And if you look around the world, you see certain
pyramids were built
telltale
with
things that let you
sound.
know that advanced machinery was in usage. Look, there.
For
This
sure.
whole thing where slaves are stronger people is a fallacy. We like to believe that slaves are stronger. Slaves are weaker because
Yeah, they're
they
malnourished.
don't eat the right food and they live a
Exactly.
terrible life. Your slave
Preach,
population
brother.
is not smarter and better condition
Well, they
unless
don't,
you're
they don't think
enslaving
slaves
the
built
Jews.
the pyramid. They stopped thinking that quite a while ago. They think it was actually skilled labor because of the way they were eating. They found what their camps were, where their food was. They ate like very good food, so they think they were actually skilled labor, but also probably forced skilled labor. But that's probably not the people who built it. That's probably the people that were working on it. That's
Yeah.
probably the people that worked in the village or in the city.
How many companies have done renovations on the White House? None of them have done enough renovation that they can claim it's their White House. So, yes, thousands of years worth of people were there. But that doesn't have anything to do with the building of it.
Who do you think built it?
Well, understand, we know enough now to understand that this was a complex. This was not...
Right.
we've been led to believe that
I love building pyramids
this
in
is
rust.
how much they worshipped their dead bodies.
Right.
But
Northeast.
the evidence doesn't show any of that.
No, it
like,
doesn't.
Like when you see inside when they have those intricate carvings and paintings and stuff in gold and
Oops.
stuff, you have to remember this is in a windowless
Sorry,
room.
I'm only stopped to save
There's
Jolt
no
Hog Chris.
candle soot. There's no this. It's clearly a power plant and built specifically for that location on this planet.
North.
For
What do you think it was powered
usage.
by?
The
Nuclear?
hot
Resonance.
water springs underneath it.
So it was powered by the hot water springs? And to what end? How do you know all this, first of all? Is this marijuana?
He's
talk?
asking too many questions.
I don't think so. This is
See, most people expect to be taken
Where
at
did
their
you-
word when they say like conspiracy theorists love to hear this shit so much
If
they just
you-
take them
if
at their
you follow
word. Joe is like the
information
you
about
can't just say follow
humankind,
information.
you
You
find
can't just
out
say that.
in all parts of history, people were coming to this region for their information and their knowledge and their things
Yes.
that were forbidden, and
Yep.
these were not these were the highest of human civilization. Here.
Not even comparable to anyone else.
No.
Nor since. Nor
now
since.
or yeah,
Nor since.
right.
The
And-
Great Pyramid of Giza is insane.
Right. like
It's insane.
like even Tesla says that this is where he came to get the information. But if you follow that information pathway, it leads you to
Where you
a
at, Snake Boy?
character called Thoth,
Thoth.
right? And the emerald tablets
The emerald tablets of Thoth.
of Thoth are literally mind changing and mind blowing.
Spirit Science has a great video on this.
Was written and
Okay, this is a good
terminology
interview.
being used is
Leave him
far
alone.
too accurate for now. So I'm sure that
Here it is. Emerald Tablet.
I wasn't trying to attack Robin
Also
Quill.
known as the Smaragdine tablet, or the Tabula Smaragd.
He's on fire.
Boy, I fucked that up. It's a compact
Hermes
and
Trismegistus.
a cryptic Hermetic text. It was highly regarded by Islamic and European alchemists as the foundation of their art. Though attributed to the legendary Hellenistic figure Hermes.
Did you just shrug off an ultrasphere?
How do you say it, bro? How'd you say it?
Trismegistus.
Trismegistus.
Yeah, it's
The text,
Merlin.
the Emerald Tablet, first appears in a number of early medieval Arabic sources, the oldest of which dates to the late 8th or early 9th century. It was translated into Latin several times in the 12th and 13th centuries. Numerous interpretations and commentaries followed. So what does it say, though? The Egyptian god Thoth. Okay, it says beginning in the 2nd century BC
Oh, no, that's gonna
onward,
kill him.
Greek text attributed to Hermes.
It didn't kill
A
him?
syncretic combination of
My
Greek
boy.
god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth appeared in Greco-Roman Egypt. Those texts known as the Hermetica are heterogeneous collection of works
He loves
that
to
in the
Google
modern
your
day
fucking
era
source.
are commonly subdivided into two groups: the technical Hermetica,
What level
comprising
are
of
you?
astrological, medico-botanical, alchemical, and magical writings, and the religio-philosophical Hermetica, comprising of mystical philosophical writings. Holy shit!
Is this weed talk, Joseph?
No, this is so legit.
So legit, my man.
Oh, it's
This
dead.
dude was
It's
probably
Walking
an
Dead.
alien.
Dude, first of all, there are no probablys.
Yeah.
That's the benefit once you hear
It's
it
immortal.
or read it. Is the fact that it's given in first person, and that's not possible. The things that are being said are impossible. Enough time has passed, though, that it's not like that. But
I'm gonna read that.
he literally says, hey, there's a spaceship
Yeah,
on
it's
Earth,
dead.
and this is where it is.
Yeah, watch
Because
that
if
Spirit
all
Science
you
video.
care
That shit is
about
wild.
Is information, right? Like, that's what you start to see is when you get to everybody's civilization, Asian, Indian, African, when you get to the crux.
I haven't
of
killed
the
him recently. I don't know why he's not here.
Nobody's disagreeing with anybody.
Right. If you figured out how the fuck they did it, if there was any logical explanation that people could have done it,
I got a
I would be
base
on
over
board.
here.
I'd be like, no, okay.
But there aren't any people saying that.
Human beings it's possible if you had enough power.
Ooh, I love
engineering
Toko
and
Tokos.
mathematics that you could figure out how
Waterproof?
to design
Not
and
worth it.
construct the pyramid.
Yes.
But then the logistical problem of getting the stones from hundreds of miles away, massive, several ton, up to 80 ton stones.
Oh, they just rolled him on logs,
That's
bro.
You,
500
even-
They
miles
rolled
away
him on
somewhere.
logs,
even if you
bro.
can do it, let me ask you this. Would you build it on sand?
I don't
pretty
think it
funny.
was originally sand. See, that's the thing.
Right. This was a fertile
Yeah.
valley.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right.
The
That-
The
Nile
Euphrates
Valley.
is drying up. That's a
They
sign
had
of the
electric
apocalypse,
and
guys.
Wi-Fi, and they had all of that.
They probably did. And that's probably where the Younger Dryas impact theory comes in.
The greatest trick is to make us believe that people back then were dumber.
I
and
could
we're
eat.
smarter.
What sounds good to you?
And that whole thing is a fallacy.
Yeah, that's
And
definitely not real.
But it's
That's
worth
cool.
it for us to believe that.
I think we are the children of the survivors of some great catastrophe.
Smokehouse,
I think
beef and
that's
cheddar.
why every single
Not
ancient
everybody.
biblical scholar. What?
Not everybody. Some people
What do you mean?
are that.
Some people are the survivors?
Right.
Well, I mean, most human beings probably got wiped out in comet storms. And I think we probably got... Look, there's been points in history that they know of where human beings got down to like 7,000 people.
Who's counting them?
I think they use genetics and they backtrace and they try to find
Do
individuals
what?
who are capable of having X amount of children. I wonder how they do the calculation.
Yeah, smokehouse
That's a good
brisket
question.
sounds
The
good.
things in
I'm
Hollywood
just guessing, honestly.
and in writing that have attracted our attention worldwide were all based on some truth.
Yeah, that
So
sounds
all
good.
the stories of hobbits have been successful in all of their genres. Why? Because they existed. Like we now know that there were whole pygmy groups, and that we understand that that's what the Seven Dwarves was.
Yeah.
It was
Like
midgets.
that island of Flores, man, that they found. They literally call it a hobbit. It was like a 3-foot tall person that was covered in hair, smaller head than us, used tools.
As a preteen, I knew that Atlantis really existed.
Oh, don't talk about your 3,000 books, cat. We're clowning on that.
Of offhandedly
Mm-hmm. Just that it was
in
known to
early
exist.
writings.
Yeah.
Well, not just mentioned, but mentioned offhandedly, like you would a place that's just a landmark.
Right. We landed in New York before we went to Montreal. Yeah.
We were in Austin,
Yeah.
by Dallas.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the guy that thinks that they found the spot in Africa? What is that the ring called?
Oh yeah, the ring in the Saharan desert that
Jimmy
looks
Cortez
just like how they described
Is,
Atlantis.
he's on this. This dude is an expert in this shit. And he's an expert in ancient catastrophes and the remnants and the evidence that shows that these civilizations existed and something happened. And he's focused on this one area in Africa that
Y'all pick up
he
all the
believes
coal
is
already?
Atlantis. And he says it has all the hallmark characteristics, and there's all the evidence of massive water erosion surrounding the area. And that at one point in time,
My
it's very
deforesting
likely
crew.
that this area got hit
My
with a massive
ore.
flood, and it matches all the characteristics
Do
of
what?
Atlantis. When you see it, when you see the way the concentric circles
Final?
of rings, like
Yeah.
try explaining
No, Brian's
this.
not on yet. He didn't get off
You're
till
gonna see
6.
it, and try explaining this through a natural phenomenon that doesn't exist anywhere around it.
Right.
Concentric circles that is near what used to be water, and there's
Yep.
heavy water erosion marks all around it that indicate massive amounts of quick flowing water in a very short period of time.
Right. Yeah.
Look at this.
I forget what it's called, but I know exactly where it is. It's right here. You can zoom in.
That's it. Look at that thing. Bro, are you fucking kidding me?
The reshot structure.
That's it. The reshot structure. I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
See the
Now imagine if that was this massive city of concentric circles and walls and a thriving population, and then it gets hit with this water. You could see the water erosion all over the place.
They
The whole
think that's
thing
the
looks like it's
location of
washed out.
Atlantis.
See,
Yeah.
it looks like it was washed out because
It's the best guess we got.
Right.
and that's salt, I believe.
But that's
Yes,
what
there's
makes
salt there. That's the other thing.
between this and the Garden of Eden locations. Like these are two of the great landmarks in human history.
Where's the
And,
Garden of Eden?
Well, when you read the stories, right, the thing that strikes you is that it's so specific. Like it says
Yeah, the Bible's
things
very
in
specific.
talking about the Garden of Eden that, wait a minute, if I can't find what you're talking about,
Oh, where's the other one?
this isn't
Okay.
even real. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like where the Garden of Eden was, there's I think 4 rivers that come from it.
Euphrates.
And then it names 2 of them. Like, I don't want to be specific because at least he's going to bring it up. But it's like the Nile and the Euphrates, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you know 2 of
It's
them.
the Euphrates
And
Valley.
it's saying, where the 4 meet, this is where it is. And, yeah, my whole life I was like, this is really weird, because at one period of time we're thinking no flood happens. There's so many things that have lined up from these great religious books
Yeah.
where we can see that no, something happened here. Like,
Something happened, and these are stories of people telling stories that have been told to them for about 1,000 years.
but
before
this
anybody
is
wrote it
why,
down.
right?
Yeah,
This is
because
why
something
they
happened.
were told, and that's what
Yeah.
that's the difference between those of us that want to know the world's mysteries and
Oh my
conspiracy
God.
theorists. Like, there's
Right.
nothing to a conspiracy theorist because you're not producing what you're using. But these world mysteries,
Almost got it.
that's harder to do. A lie is not something that people are going to repeat for generations on generations. It's being repeated like that because people have reason to believe it to be true. And as you go through history, you see that those are the stories that we still talk about, but they're still valid. Like there were writings that the African Dogon tribe is like
Right.
like they're
From like the
The
Syrian
Dogons talk
sources,
about
like-
being
they're
visited. Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah. They talk about
very
being visited.
specific
Yeah.
things, and for hundreds of years we're going.
Y'all
"Guys are
niggas is
idiots.
lying.
You don't know what you're talking about, right?
Right.
Like somebody will have a fake star story.
Right.
You see?
Right.
And now we get to the point where we can actually see what they were talking about.
What if we
and
find
it
out
was-
that we're aliens? That we were just dropped off here.
To mine
Long ass time.
gold.
The Adam and Eve story is the story of the place where they created us.
I'm sure we're the only people in the universe that think like that.
You think so? Why do you think that?
No portion of humankind's story differs from that.
Need blueprints.
It's all creation story.
Like, if you go, that's why NASA and Space Force are not more forthcoming, because the further you get in space, the more obvious shit is. Like, once you're up there and you're looking down, this shit doesn't look like there is no God. It looks like you're in the middle of somebody's workshop and they just showed you every single way that every star can be made, every single way a planet can be made, every way that a black hole can be, a galaxy, a universe, and then showed you the best of the best.
It's the spot. I mean, in our solar system, we're the best neighborhood that's ever existed. They all suck. Every other planet sucks.
Compared to us, right now.
We're rudimentary enough that we still require environmental help.
Right, until you get that chip.
The
Once you
Dyson
get that chip-
sphere.
It would be like
Dyson
it would
sphere
be like
seems
saying
so
people
implausible
that,
to me.
Didn't learn how to
Like
ride
building a
horses.
structure around
were
sun.
Like they couldn't run fast enough, so they got horses.
Right.
No, it didn't have anything to do with that. Better's better.
That's really what it's going to be. Better's
Right,
better.
right.
We're all going to integrate.
Like we would have told you 30 years ago that we wouldn't need a space force unless we went up there and found something.
I think the Space Force, the idea is that
the high ground.
about
It's not an idea.
someone else being in
Militarizing
first
space.
with weapons flying around.
You mean us?
Yeah. Well, if we can do it,
Oh, great.
they can do it. That's the thing.
Who is they?
Whoever it is.
No,
China.
There's only humankind and
Yes.
alien.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
The problem is, this is what we really need. We really need this Neuralink to lock us
Shit.
all together.
I should have said I
so
did need a
everybody
Sprite.
can read everybody's mind. That's what's going to happen, and then there's going to be no more leaders. There's going to be no more governments.
Let me see if she'll bring me a Sprite.
right now. Okay, so look, that
Better is better.
That exists already. So just understand that the worldwide government is way smarter than we give them credit for, because they have us believing they don't do nothing. But the truth is, like there's no such thing as the government is in bed with the internet. No, the internet is a government installation that they allowed the world to use for free so that they could have the information willingly.
That's what Google is. Google is
That's what it
was
became.
made by the three-letter agencies.
Exactly.
It's
But I
meant
think
that's
to
what
build
it is
algorithms.
to become.
You think so?
Yes.
I think the progression of technology oftentimes leads itself to, like, even cell phones. At first, it was Michael Douglas.
I should have been
walking
more
on the
sweet.
beach
I just
in
texted
Wall
Sprite,
Street,
please.
looking amazing with that brick, carrying that big brick. Like, look at that guy. He's got a phone with no cord. He's out on the beach. This is insane. To everybody.
Alright, where do I get dropped off at?
But not to everybody, because those in the ham radio community and people with the CBs, they didn't feel like that was cutting edge, because it really wasn't. Like
It's still cutting edge to be
This
able to
is-
walk around with a device. It's a leap in technology.
here's the thing: when you look at all of our inventions, that's when you know that these
Some
space
bullshit.
encounters were real, because we only have advancement in a couple of industries in the world, and everything else is nothing. So, like the microwave that they had 30 years ago, it looks the same. It's the same microwave now. Why? Because it was done as a military thing. It was supposed to be a weapon, and then they found out, it heats up food, and they put a door on it. And so it hasn't changed at all, because invention is very difficult. And
Do you subscribe to the idea that we get back engineered?
Thank you, dear.
that's
Thank you.
why
I love
those
you.
leaps, we don't see those leaps in anything else, is my point. Like
I should have texted nicer.
Yeah. There's
The
so much
real time.
speculation about the creation of a bunch of different things that came out of Roswell. Fiber optics.
Okay.
Right, but remember,
Yeah.
20 years ago, 15 years ago, this is crazy talk.
Crazy talk, yeah. But now it's New York
it's
Times.
not. Like,
Arby's is on the way.
It's at the point, at this point, like, Area 51
Arby's.
would have to be doing something.
They were definitely doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody's telling a differing story as to what it is.
Right.
Like, people have great imaginations all through history. They could make up something. The only
try here instead.
damning information is if you read 3,000 accounts of these entities and realize, wait a minute, why is everybody describing the same couple of beings?
Right.
Like, there's no...
The Anunnaki, the
There's no
Greys,
outliers,
the
like
Pleiadians, the...
There's like 3 different things they describe. Yeah, they said that they're documented 8 to 12.
We're not talking about English-speaking people. We're talking about worldwide. Right.
Worldwide.
Like,
Cativas have
that's
the worst
what is
passives,
striking.
man.
Indigenous people in Australia drew them. Yeah.
Right. Nobody's saying anything outlandish. And
No.
that's what you get to when
Yo,
you
they're talking about aliens, bro. This is the
go
best interview ever.
religiously
Mm-hmm.
or
Well, the alien thing is a bit of a religion to a lot of folks.
I thought that was a
They
Jolt Hog
don't
Chris
wanna
for a
believe
second.
it.
it's a
Everything's
necessary component.
Yeah.
Whatever religion you're a part of, at some point it says
You were contacted.
that there
Yeah.
was a fight in heaven
Mhm.
and,
Yeah.
this happened and that happened.
Yep. Every
And-
single one of them.
Everyone nobody's telling a different story. Everybody's telling the same stories.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know that vagina and gold are universal things, because in everybody's story, none of these otherworldly entities had any interest in anything other
Then vagina and
women,
gold.
and gold.
right, pussy or gold, like, because
It's because the angels
and you
slept with our
understand
women,
that now
and we were
when you
used to
start
mine
learning
gold by the
about what's in
Anunnaki.
space.
That's what he's talking
Because
about.
you can see that any element or any commodity that we sell here is abundant in space, like
Except pussy and
trash.
gold. Ooh.
They found one meteor that was worth all the money.
On Earth.
Yeah, 770 billion.
No, it's
Trillion. It was
Whatever
another
it is.
number. It's some
Some crazy
num-
number.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they know that there's
The pyramids
spots
were made with
in
sound.
space that have abundant minerals that are very valuable. And the thing about the Sumerian story, the Sumerian text story, real last story may make everyone a billionaire on this earth. Everyone would be a billionaire.
But
Every person would earn several billion dollars.
So it sounds jokey, right? But understand, somebody got this contract. Like, they
Right.
broke this up into several worldwide contracts. Like, this is-
10,000 quadrillion.
It's just there.
But here's the thing. If you got that much gold, is gold valuable anymore? Because one of the things about gold is that there's not that much of it. If you look at, you ever seen the number of gold on Earth?
That's not necessary in capitalism. They showed us that with diamonds.
That's true. They could hide
it. It is about the perception of things. And if I buy up all of something, it is rare now. Immediately.
Right.
Just because I have control of all of it.
Right.
And that is worth killing Tesla over. And that's why
Yeah.
the people are still in business in Hollywood, because everything's a commodity.
Did you ever read, you ever heard of Zechariah Sitchin? Zechariah Sitchin was a biblical scholar who, he deciphered the Sumerian texts. And he was like an expert in language. And when he deciphered it, he might not have been a biblical scholar. Might have just been a language expert. But either way,
I
he
love it.
Is Zechariah
deciphered these
Sitchin?
texts
Yeah.
And
I know what he's talking
wrote
about.
these books about the real meaning behind everything they were saying. And he said that the reason why we are so fascinated with gold is that the Anunnaki
Made us
literally
mine
have
it.
us mine gold for them because they needed it to protect their atmosphere.
Right, to reflect
what
solar
they
radiation
would do
back.
is take gold, which is a very rare in what it does. What gold can do is you can take a little piece of
You
gold,
can suspend
like
it in
this
the
big,
atmosphere.
coat this entire table. It's real weird.
Right.
So you could turn into a fine dust, and they suspended
All right,
this
that's
fine
10.
dust in their atmosphere to protect them from a degrading
So I
atmosphere.
can
'Cause they were
scan
doing
them
global
now.
warming or whatever.
Everybody that was
He wrote about this
In-
in the 70s.
it doesn't matter, because
I'm gonna need more balls.
everybody in Egypt knew it. Like, this is where the alchemy,
Yeah, that's where it all originated.
right?
Well,
like,
we don't even know what they knew.
none of those people are saying, "Hey, I came up with this shit." They're saying,
Somebody gave it to us.
somebody
Yep.
who came from this place here came
Yeah.
and told us that this is how this goes and this is what this is worth.
Yeah.
Because
I don't wanna
I'm
kill it.
saying,
Alright,
the people that
did I kill it?
were being abused
Yeah, I
in
killed
the
it.
mines going to get the diamonds, it wasn't like that for them. It was just them getting these rocks. And this
Right.
crazy guy's going to pay a day's wages for us to gather rocks. Let's gather them.
Right.
You know, this is...
Dainty eater.
But when you follow back, it's all about the information. And at the top of it, nobody's trying to claim it. Like, nobody's saying,
Right. I invented this.
yeah.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah, people love taking credit for shit.
Imagine this. That's why we're getting most of our shit. Back engineered stuff they leave for us. We have to figure it out, sort through it. The
How
people
many
that have
wombos? Do I got enough
alien
wombos?
technology, if the people that do have an alien craft that they work on, what a weird reality you must live in. The whole
Babazar.
rest of the world's got guessing, and you got this thing in front of you, like, oh, it's real. We have one. I can show it to you.
That's how everybody in Space Force will have to feel, right?
Right? They must. How many of them you think see shit?
I'm saying, how do you think Elon Musk really feels? Like,
I don't think he's gonna tell you.
no, I'm saying
Hell
in
no.
his head, can he still have a superhero, or is he one of them?
Ooh.
You know, he's one of them. Like,
If
That's
you're the
a
richest in the
hundo.
world and you're also a super genius, how do
Shit.
you stop yourself
Ooh,
from being a
Swift.
superhero? That's the big question.
That's good for that big boy.
no, it's not like that.
No?
No, it doesn't have superhero side effects to it.
I mean, you would probably
Like,
think.
like the more you know, the more
A
you know
shiny?
how little you know.
That's true,
So
too.
there's
Oh,
not
it's
a-
got terrible
you know what I mean?
passive.
And nobody has ownership of information. That's why reading books moves civilization, because like when I said, like, you know, I read 3,000 books, people were like, yeah, right. But, you know, everything in life is about the
Pyromaniac's not
environment.
bad.
It was grown in the petri
I don't even
dish,
know what that
right? So
does.
if I told you that from the time I was 8
Got
to the
nothing.
time I was 12, I never celebrated any birthdays. I never went to a birthday party. I never had a Thanksgiving or Christmas. I never trick-or-treated. I wasn't allowed to watch movies, and I wasn't allowed to watch TV. All I could do was read. If I told you that, then you would understand that for 8 hours a day, I got 8 hours, and I can read, and I love to read. And so I'm reading books that are 250, 200 pages. And it
He
takes me
mentioned the
about an
3,000
hour
books
to
thing.
read
That's
one.
kind of crazy.
So, yeah,
Takes you an hour to read
I'm reading.
150
That's the
pages?
thing
Okay.
most people were clowning him on
Yeah,
was
like,
the
all I'm
3,000
doing
books
is
thing.
reading, because that's what. So I'm checking out 20 books. The limit at the library is 20 books at one time. So I'm going Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, just because.
I didn't
it's
kill
my
it?
Thing like
So you're getting 60 books a week?
minimum, because
Really?
yeah, because I'm reading more than that, because I still have religious books that I have to read. So understand this is pre-internet first.
Right.
So understand that in reading one thing that I'm reading, right?
Right.
This one thing that I'm reading is also requiring me to have this appendix book that is the source book that it's telling me it's getting these things from. And so I've got 4 books open at a time just for this one book. Like, but yeah, so first, I guess between 8 and 12, I can read classics and nonfiction. So I'm saying no novels or anything like that. I'm just reading like Time Life has like 1,800 of these individual books on all subjects
Those are magazines,
of
bro.
the world. And
So you just spent most of your time reading?
not most, all of it.
All of your time reading. And then when did it
That was
pop-
my thing, because like like I was able to be in each of these stories. You follow what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yo, they die
And-
quick.
And I was getting so much information. Like half of those, I probably had to write a 1-page
Glutton.
report on after, you know.
Who made you write these reports, Kat?
Yeah, that was my whole thing. And the numbers aren't even really accurate because I read more than that. Because like sometimes, sometimes I would read something and I wouldn't get it. Like there was this classic book called Little Women that I probably read it 4 times because I just didn't understand it, and I knew it was a classic, but
I never read it. What's it about?
Girls and boys and
Have you read it, Jim?
relationships.
some Little Women.
I was a kid. I just watched an episode of Curb where they're talking about it.
What is the story
Well,
about?
here's the thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like 4 sisters think
Okay.
that, okay, but they had money and an incredible circumstance. But the thing was, I didn't have any sisters, so I didn't have anything to pull from, and I didn't have women in my life like that. So, yeah, a lot of things I would have to read multiple times for me to get.
Right, to try to think how they thought.
Right. Well, yeah, like even like the Three Musketeers. Like I probably read it 3 times because it was so. I read it like the first time to read it, but then the next time I had to read it again because these characters were really distinct characters.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out, wait a minute, did this happen really in history, or was somebody just this good at telling this story of the, But it's things like that leads you to the Knights Templar story, which leads you to, seeing how things through history have remained. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I never understand
all
people
of
who
that you
think
get
that the
from
Vatican is one of these
Well,
like
history, to me, is
seats of
always the most
power.
fascinating thing
Because I don't
you
understand
can't
how.
quite imagine it. You're trying to imagine piecing it together.
I just need to explain
listen
better.
to these stories and you just sit back and go, "What the fuck was that like?"
right.
And it
Which
wasn't
is
even
what
that
we
long
create
ago.
every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're creating the future's version of what the fuck was that like. This
Yeah.
place right here freaks me out the most, because this area, specifically this area of Texas, the Hill Country, was just all Native Americans forever. There's thousands of arrowheads, man. Look
Here's
at
the
this.
here's the
My friend
thing.
found this on his ranch.
None of those people.
Well,
when
I bet
we
the
say
food's
those
here.
People, none of them picked a bad place ever.
No.
That's when you understand that there's a grid.
Yeah.
Because nobody's holy people.
Oh, he's talking about ley
picked
lines.
bad spots.
No.
Everybody understood certain things about the area, and long before they had X-ray machines. And
Yeah.
if you just went by that in the whole world, you would start to understand, like,
In the Spear and Sides video, they go over all that. They go over ley lines
the
and
Vatican, and the fact that certain things are based on real shit, like the Ark of the Covenant.
that's got to be explained to me.
Spooky little story. It's
What do you think
like,
it is? Think it's like a nuclear generator or something like that? What do you think it is?
Whatever the nucleus is, that would nuclearly power something that would have initially been in the pyramids, would also have been in the Ark of the Covenant, which would be the same
Oh, it's like
thing.
the
Something
starter.
you can't fuck with.
Or like
and
the
it's
spark plug.
radioactive, and it's very powerful.
That's why they
but
gotta
it
put all
still
those
has
rocks
to
around
be.
it. Oh shit.
That's
like
what
the
I'm
spark
saying.
plug for the
Nobody's
pyramid.
telling any crazy stories, my man. Not globally.
No.
Clyburn.
Everything.
Well, it gets
was
less
about
crazy
something.
every year. It gets less crazy.
It seems
every year.
rare.
20 years ago, talking about any of this stuff was straight up nonsense.
Yes.
But now people are like, hold on. That's probably what disclosure actually looks like. It looks
Yes.
like a slow trickle integration into the zeitgeist to the point where it's just normal.
Because a lot of times they're right. A lot of
Yeah.
times it turns out that they were right, that no, we couldn't have told people this because they would have went and this would have happened and that would have happened, and you can start to see that. Like,
Yeah. That's why
Slept his
when
ass.
you think about what people have always believed, that's why angels and devils freak me out. Because no one wants to believe that there's
Yo, that's
there's
awesome.
a
Thank you, babe.
devil.
You believe
There's-
in astronauts, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But people have always said there is.
Yeah, I'm
You
good.
mean a bad and a
Gucci.
good?
Yeah, not just a bad and a good, but an
More
actual
than good,
evil,
I'm great.
malevolent force.
No, just start with bad
Okay,
and good.
yes, bad and
okay,
good,
so
yeah.
if we started bad and good, then we understand what must be at the extremes of that.
Right.
Nobody's telling a different story.
And then there's the concept of actual entities,
Yes.
actual demonic entities that do exist.
Well, I'm saying your DNA is either fused or it's not.
Is he
If
talking
it
about
is, it
RH monkey
requires a
or
fuser.
RH positive
Mm.
or the chromosomes?
That's all.
We have two chromosomes that appear to have been
What do you
fused into one. Is what I think he's talking about.
I'm saying if they tell you that certain parts of your DNA are fused,
Yeah, that's like mainstream.
requires a fuser. Did I say that right?
I'm not sure. I see what you're saying. The structure to us.
Yeah, y'all get back in that
everything,
pen.
All of it.
Y'all supposed to be
does
freaking.
seem remarkable.
In a no mistakes type of way.
Yeah, in a synchronistic sort of a way.
Which flies in the face of the accidental Big Bang, nothing from nothing way of thinking.
Okay, I'm gonna sit
Yeah,
here
It
and
always
watch y'all
has
do
been.
it.
Well, that's what I think. Like in the beginning, there was light. When they talk about that, if you were going to describe the beginning of the universe, even if you're describing the Big Bang, which there's a lot of speculation that wasn't necessarily the beginning, that there might be a continuous cycle.
Yeah,
These
it would
events
make
happen
sense if it was
over and over
cyclical.
again. But if you were talking about a creation story, you would say in the beginning there was light. 'Cause there was. It was a fucking enormous amount of light. It created the entire universe,
Literally.
literally.
Right.
I think.
Which is all it says. And here's like whatever they say that hell or Hades is in any of these religions worldwide, it is the perfect description for what a black hole is in real life.
It is.
I think when he doesn't know what to say, he just says.
A bottomless pit
Yeah. Where time doesn't exist.
where time does not exist, where you don't die, but you don't exit.
Spaghettification.
Information. Like,
And it eats stars.
right. But it eats stars and galaxies,
Yeah.
all that, right? But we can have multiple of them, and
All
everything
over
will
the
still be
place.
okay.
They're the center. The center of
That's
every
the
galaxy.
flex.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
we're
the
fine
flex.
with them.
Right.
It's like if you live in Africa, you got to deal with lions.
What's this thing? Oh, it kills everything.
Right.
Everything what? Everything it touches.
Everything. It's going to get us eventually, but not now.
What? You
That's
mean you
the
have two
flex.
of them?
They find them floating around.
They find them.
They find them floating around.
Right.
There's
I mean,
another
they noticed
egg.
them.
Yeah.
They notice that they're out there floating around.
Yeah.
They found one that's so fucking big. We did this thing when we played a video of how small the Earth is in comparison to the sun. How small the sun
gonna
is
take a lot
in
of
comparison to
cake.
giant stars, and how small giant stars are into the most massive, supermassive black hole that they know currently. It's bananas. what's
Our
out
perfect
there.
habitat is so perfect that anyone universally with sense would say, whew, location.
Are we getting there?
You know?
Like the greatest real estate agent
Yeah.
ever.
If the moon or the sun were further back, we'd,
We'd be fucked.
yeah, or,
If Jupiter
or
wasn't there.
closer. Or like
Yeah.
the whole thing is, someone later
Let me get a
saying,
second heater.
do you think Beverly Hills was, you think this was an area they built on purpose? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was. Oh, don't let me.
Oh. Just imagine if the moon was slightly smaller.
Charcoal and ingot.
Just imagine.
Look,
Imagine if the Earth was slightly further away from the sun.
they know that it's to the point where
I can carry a lot of
it
charcoal.
might have been artificially done, and they're aware of that. They're aware of the true
So the artificially
specifics of
created
the
solar
moon.
system? Oh, the moon.
right.
I've heard that theory.
Specifically.
That's a wild theory.
Well, some of it's not theory. Like I was on that subject as a teenager, but as a grown person is when the thing happened where they hit it with the missile and it rang like a bell.
Yeah.
Like certain
The firmament?
things are,
Talking
What
about
was the
firmament.
explanation for that? Because it did have some sort of a crazy, like...
the question is who will offer an explanation?
Right.
Because it wasn't like that they didn't just do it once. Like all
Imagine-
accounts say it rang like a bell for hours and hours and hours. Like,
Imagine if that's a feature.
I'm always
for a
out of
stable
carbon
planet
fiber.
that they put there.
well, that's how Xbox works.
Really?
You know, or PlayStation. I'm an Xbox guy, but I'm saying, you know, you have your gaming system, and it just requires that and your Wi-Fi nearby, and bam, you know, make things happen. And so many of our things globally,
I need to cook some food for these
we come
people.
by understanding that, and the magnetics and dynamics and things that really work.
There's a lot of people that think that whatever we're seeing isn't just from another planet, but from another dimension. That they're dimensional travelers. That they have access to places that we don't have access to. Because we're too primitive. We can't wrap our head around it. As a civilization, we haven't reached the ability to transcend, but that they can, and that they're here all the time.
Well, the way we look at it, you know, we're the greatest spot in the universe, but the travelers don't lead us to believe that.
Well, there's always competition. There's always going to be a greater civilization than the one previous. There's always going to be more. There's always going to be more. If people are going to innovate to the point where they're going to make spacecrafts, that means these people are competing with each other. These things, whatever they are, they're still, they must be in some sort of competition. There must be something that motivates them. And so,
Right, but at that level, competition is healthy and there are no unhealthy components.
Hopefully.
So,
Damn,
well,
homie.
no,
Yeah.
not hopefully, definitely. Once we're all building space, personal space contraptions for ourselves,
Cement.
we're going to push one another. It's not just we're going to all want the best one.
Yeah.
And we're going to insist that be the case, just like we do with cars.
when I said hopefully, what I mean is that, like, hopefully they will be, like, healthy, friendly competition. That's what motivates them. What's not hopeful is that they could be robotic, emotionless things that have transcended biological needs, and that they just have a function. That function is
No soul.
seeing
No soul,
intelligent
essentially.
life in the universe and establishing, just like you would be.
Where's
a
the other
farmer,
deer?
And you would go out and leave hay for the animals.
Needs are primitive.
Yeah, they are primitive, but we're always moving into some more and more complex direction. Technologically, it seems like that's never going to stop.
Right.
And the only thing that makes sense to me is that we're doing something because that's like what we're literally designed to do. We have all these things that sort of motivate people, and greed and
Yeah.
lust and curiosity.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're always making better things.
Yeah.
Constantly making better things, which
Yeah.
would lead ultimately to the creation of a higher life form, some more intelligent, emotionless being. And that's the scary thought, is that all this life out there is life that was created by biological creatures who had these desires and needs that ultimately led to them making a better version of them. And then that is like the butterfly that comes out of the cocoon.
As soon as we put people in space, we became aliens that day, right?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of things are perspective.
That's true. I mean, you could say you're a camper, but you really only go in a tent in your yard. You're still kind of camping.
Well,
You know, but that's what we're doing as far as space travel.
Our guy has put a date on the Mars colonization, though, right?
Yeah, but he's also put a date on the Roadster. When that Tesla Roadster's coming out, that motherfucker's never going to see the light of day. When is that car coming out?
No, because
Something about it the other day.
That car is supposed to be out for years.
Yeah, it's supposed to be out 2 or 3 years ago. I think.
that's part of being a billionaire.
Sure.
It's not worth putting out something that's not right. It doesn't matter how bad it's.
Hopefully, I guessed right.
Well, he
I
actually
didn't guess
explained-
right.
He said it was manufacturing is insanely difficult. The way he explained it, it's you know, you don't.
So
consider
this
it
one
because,
is the
you know,
boy,
people
I
just
need the
manufacture
girl.
things, think it's normal, but he was like the process of manufacturing, especially like a car, an electric car, insanely difficult.
He had a harder time doing that Cybertruck than he did
Yeah,
space stuff.
Cybertruck's hard. What's all folded steel?
Yeah, he's just using a
Fucking
material that
massive
hasn't been used since the
7,000+ pound
DeLorean.
folded steel truck that goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and it looks like it's from the future. It looks like if you were
It's
going
the
to watch
hottest
a movie,
thing on Mars.
It's crazy.
I'm glad the AFK
Yeah.
here just to get
That's
these
what it
guys
is.
breeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the most futuristic car ever.
Right.
Damn, he cooked fast.
Yeah, but
As kids, that's what we drew.
I don't know when we're going to Mars, and I don't know who the fuck's going to do that. That's a 6-month journey.
Those Anubises are so dope.
So what?
That's next.
Several billionaires were talked into getting into a capsule with limited air
Oh yeah, he's talking about that fucking.
to go a long way down.
Bro, that's a
Whoa.
dark way to die. Just knowing
Well,
that you chose to
just
do
know,
it.
even if you're a racist hearing this, all death is dark. So
What I mean is the last moments must be horrific.
no more,
hearing
no
creaking.
more horrific than anyone else's.
I know, but there's something about the choice of being, you know, thousands of feet under the water.
No, it's
and
being a
knowing
billionaire.
it's
More money than
crushing-
sense. Yeah.
Your soul dies long before. I could have done anything. This is what I chose.
That's hilarious.
That death.
That guy could be fishing in Maui right now. With a nice cold beer, hanging out with his friends, listening to some music. Instead, he hears
Right.
that carbon fiber starting to crack. God damn.
It's already done at that point.
Yep,
None of
it's
that's
done.
happening.
They knew those people were dead a long time ago.
Yeah, they
which
heard
is
the
interesting
pop.
because I didn't know how
military submarine
sophisticated
heard the
the
pop.
underwater listening
Surveillance.
devices are. But they have these super sophisticated underwater listening devices everywhere to
And they
make sure
heard
that
the pop.
Russia's not sneaking up on us. Because Russia will sneak up on a motherfucker.
Sir,
Russia
sir.
snuck up on people before.
Sir, none of that is for Russia.
You think it's for aliens?
None of that is for Russia.
Do you think it's for aliens? That would be the wildest
what-
shit of all time.
what-
They have
what-
underwater listening devices because they knew that aliens were under there.
Okay, let's see if this is weed talk or not.
Let's go.
So, which one do we know more about? Do we know more about space or do we know more about
the bottom of the ocean.
oceans?
We know more about space. Yeah. Quite a bit more.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah. And part of that is because
We're not welcome.
The ocean's very difficult to penetrate.
At some point, it's government.
They're hiding things from us. I would hide things from people. I would definitely make it illegal for you to have a submarine. You could have a yacht. Don't get crazy. You can't go underwater. I got to know where the fuck you are. If I need to collect taxes.
Well,
If you're floating around, I could pull up.
It was a conspiracy theory at one point that you know the government got bases inside of mountains.
Right.
Now we know they do.
Well, until they had to expand the boundary behind Area 51 and make Area 51 larger, they never even admitted it existed. It wasn't until the Obama administration that they actually came out and said, Area 51's a real thing. We need more land. You
Eminent
ever seen the
domain will
video
do
of
that.
Bob Lazar, the guy who used to work there? Have you ever seen that guy? That's a
I was
wild one.
following old Bob Lazar. Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think he's telling the truth?
Joe wants
Here's
to
the
believe
thing,
him.
Joe. Just
Could be misinformation.
an opinion, but what I find fascinating is the lack of imagination in any of these stories where imagination could apply. Like,
Like if someone was
He ain't saying
bullshit,
nothing.
you'd see evidence of it,
like
right? Because that's the
Right.
thing. If people
Right.
bullshit, they kind of bullshit about everything.
right,
Because they think they're smart enough to trick you. No one's smart enough to come up with one story only their whole life. Their whole life, they're straight, down the middle, square, tell the truth all the time. But one time, they decide to have a whopper of a lie and just fabricate this thing and structure
no,
it.
you're seeing somebody tell you a story that is the only explanation for certain things that are happening.
Yeah. Especially he tells you a story, and then you have independent people who also used to work for the government now becoming whistleblowers and saying there's a crashed retrieval program. Crashed UFO retrieval program.
It goes back to what I'm saying, Joe. This is how you say this without getting canceled. Look, you do think they're doing something, don't you?
They're doing something.
They're definitely
They
doing
wouldn't
something.
tell us
because
everything
we
they're doing.
we want to believe like
Yeah.
nobody's doing nothing. Like no, we're doing stuff. Like
They're doing something. They're just not telling us.
that's part of it, though, right?
You know what the people involved in the retrieval call the vehicles? They call them donations.
Right. Well,
They're so smart. Why did they
um,
crash? Or why they let us
That's
shoot
what
them
they
out?
think they are. They think that the limited times that these crafts have shown themselves.
You as the driver or the occupant didn't mean for that to be your destination, and you don't take anything. You only give. Therefore, that's why it's known as a donation. Because it's like it's what you would say if one of those meteors that we were talking about, if one just the size of a refrigerator landed in your backyard. Like $1 billion can land in your backyard. Easy peasy.
Or obliterate an entire city and send everybody back to the Stone Age. That's the wildest one.
Right, but it's not that wild if you look at the moon.
Right.
The moon shows you the evidence that that's a thing.
Pelted.
Right, like
Yeah, it's like
If we could just look at it, it's
Swiss
just filled with
cheese.
holes.
right.
Big fucking craters all over that you could see with the naked eye.
Well, I'm saying most of the people that are in America and drive in urban settings know what potholes are. And so, it's the same thing.
Yeah. This is a weird time where people are just starting to pay attention to so many of these subjects. And so many of these things, like, are we alone? Have there been advanced civilizations before? How did we become us?
It's been a conversation at all points in
Yeah.
time. Like,
But more people are having it now without fear of being labeled an idiot.
well, it's because information is now a free commodity, whereas in different points in history, it wasn't like that. Like,
Right. It was protected.
You didn't make enough money to get access to this information. And no matter where you're looking, information is the driving force of almost every war and conflict.
Yeah.
It was about the place that you conquered. Not only did you conquer them, but you got a chance to know what they knew. And that you found was more important than anything else. And that's
Well, think about the people that lived just before they translated the Bible from Latin. How many people couldn't read it?
well, that was part of the experience that you were getting from church, was the fact that that it was being read to you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Not what we have currently, where you have the book and they have the book, but this person is literally reciting the word of God to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he becomes the holder of all that information and the only one.
All holders of all information
Yeah.
are that.
Yep. It's like a human pattern
Mm-hmm.
that people follow, even if they just run an internet company.
Booty.
Even if they run a social media company, they follow
Yeah.
that same pattern.
Well, because
Control.
everything in the universe, everything on this planet, everything that we could look at in the wildlife or in the plant life, or everything is a formula. Everything is that way.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, the science and math go together with the occult and alchemy, and all of these things are based on things like even the Smurfs story, right?
The Smurfs are based on something?
Well,
Where you going, Cat?
religious people would say, "Oh, you can't watch the Smurfs because it's bad because they have witchcraft and stuff in there." But the whole thing is it's based on this, the homunculus, the idea that
Misshapen
you can
little man.
create a human life form.
They're talking about, man, these anime nerds
With
watch
a
too
mother or a
too much
father.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Really?
Man.
That's what the Smurfs are based on?
They totally misinterpret what a homunculus is.
So who?
Jamie,
what,
pull it
what
up.
two Smurfs do you think
I
got
don't know much
together
about Smurf
and
lore.
had Smurfette? She was the only female of the Smurfs.
Oh
So,
shit, he's stuck.
It's a good question.
Well, it's not a question in the Smurfs. They tell you that Gargamel made Smurfette, but in somebody's history, I don't want to say what race of people or group of people it is, but in somebody's history, there was this homunculus thing.
Like a
And-
genetically engineered human?
life form.
Life
yeah.
form.
Mhm.
Creature.
Right.
Whoa.
And so, it's spoken of in history very sparingly, but a lot of things in the world are about perception.
Yeah.
So we don't believe that there's clones. We don't believe that because we don't feel like we have the technology. But the truth is, if you go body part to body part, you'll go, what if I lost 2 legs? Well, we can give you 2 legs. Well, what about 2 arms? I can give you 2 arms. Okay, well, what about the heart? Yeah, no problem. What about the, like, we're already,
Yeah. All you'd have to do is make a clone brain dead. Figure out how to engineer a brain dead clone that'll
And
grow
you
organs for
can
you.
circumvent human
And
rights.
then they'll make cloning legal. Because then
Yeah.
you'll never have to worry. Hey, cat, you need a new heart? Guess what?
this is the same. This is the same pathway that everybody is on in all of these departments. Like this is what you like.
Got to do some
People
condensing,
spend
man.
their life trying to find the cure for a cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And working as hard as they can every single day. You know what I mean? Unsuccessfully. Those are the type of people that help make the world go around, hmm Yeah, because it's all about information, and we be so close most of the time. But that's how you can see when we've had influence from something else.
Well, I think it's very possible that we have. It's just so frustrating when you want to know. It's one of those things where life would change forever if you had undeniable contact with something. It would just change forever. Your perception of life, you just to drive through the In-N-Out drive-through would be different. Everything would be different.
Right, but
Taking a shit would be different. There's aliens out there.
You can say that about smelling salts or mushrooms. Or you can say that about lots of things.
Yeah, but about that specifically, if we knew that was real, because I think it's probably true. but I still hold open the possibility that it's all bullshit.
Here's the whole thing. No one who has ever seen more space or the universe than you and I has ever seen anything that was bullshit
What do you mean?
in the universe.
What I mean is like fake UFO footage. There's a lot of fake footage. I would want to see if you could see something yourself, and I have good friends that have. I have good friends that have had experiences that they say there is no fucking way that is us, that this is something else.
Right. Just understand that part of the job in any of these circumstances is to kick up kerfuffle. Like,
Right.
that's part of it. Like, if you live in Florida, you see how many times things go off into space, and you know that there's a pattern between that and government airplanes, and like our stories of cooperation have been nothing but cooperative, as they could only be. Like, we don't hold any leverage.
I think some of the shit that we're seeing is our stuff.
Right.
Probably
I'm
is,
saying,
yeah.
But nobody will have a way of, like, as advanced as we are, we still gotta let that balloon fly over, right?
Yeah.
We can't stop a Chinese balloon.
What the fuck is that? That's the most obvious shit ever. That's your neighbor peeking over the fence.
No, it is not. It is your neighbor's drone
Yeah, your neighbor's drone
in your
hovering
yard.
over your house. Yeah,
Right,
ridiculous.
right. Filled with a pinata of the next COVID.
Right. I mean, what are they doing? Flying robots.
It's not like that. It's not like that. In the world of flying things, sometimes things go off course.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
What's
Especially
ours?
spy stuff.
Do you think that's all it was? It went off course? That it just magically happened to go near all the military bases?
Don't say magically. Say wind.
the wind got it.
Well, I'm saying.
Bro, they just flew those things over, and they hope that Biden didn't notice. They said they flew over during Trump's administration too, but they didn't tell him because they didn't want him to shoot him down.
Neither of those stories is true. That information was out
There was
there.
one like 2 days
Right.
ago, right?
Another one, yeah.
They said this was a hobbyist though, but
Oh.
that's what they said.
Oh, was it?
Well, that yeah, this doesn't count. This doesn't count. And the way that you know immediately is it says over Utah. Like, that would be where, you know.
That's like White Sands, right?
I don't
No,
feel
that's
lucky
New
with
Mexico,
these two
isn't it?
guys having bad passives.
There's got to be military bases in Utah, though, right?
Well, I'm saying in the
Actually, the image I showed was
in
from
the map
the
wise,
first one, the Chinese surveillance balloon. Is what this says.
Oh, that's what this one is? This is the one from
2.5
February.
I probably need like
2023.
2 more.
That's the one they shot down. Look at that. So it's just a balloon with solar power and some kind of camera. How weird.
not weird. Not weird.
Well, not weird if you just think about human patterns. We've got to see what the enemy's up to. Let's fly over, take some pictures, see what the fuck is going on with these people.
I'm saying we can say whatever we want, but we're civilized and maybe they're not civilized. So if you weren't civilized, then maybe part of your job is airborne weaponry.
Yeah.
So you got to test it out. You got to see what it can do. Yeah. And yeah, they're going to go off course. Huh? Okay.
Well, that's not airborne weaponry, but we have a lot of it.
Information is.
That's true. Information is weaponry.
Information is.
Yeah.
Just knowing what the conversations are over this wide swath of people is worth money. Because at the end of all these information driven society places is analytics, and that's what this is. Yeah, I probably said too much.
No, it's all right. We'll be fine. I just wonder where it's all headed because if it seems like
Yeah,
they're
Cat
building
does need
towards
to
an
be
event.
wary.
I
He is
think
on the
about it all
white man's
time.
show.
It seems like it's not.
It's time to get a bunker.
It seems like it might be a good time to get a bunker or at least a supply of water.
That's
Well,
not
here's
subtle
the
at
thing.
all, is it?
If you follow what becomes accessible, that's how you can generally see where things are going, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Just
that's
Swift.
the true
Bodie.
magicalness of Elon Musk, you know? Is take that guy out of the story and just tell that story and
Let's see if I break it by fast traveling.
Yeah, he's moving us into so many different directions all at the same time. The electric car thing, the internet satellite thing, and now this Neuralink thing. The Neuralink thing is the craziest
because
one. though.
all of these things are connected in these higher upper echelon
Come the fuck
conversations.
on, man. Stay in the
Same-
pin.
You see the same conversation with Tesla or Da Vinci or like information is what is limited and whole industries can be built upon your ability to know how certain things are going to hit certain people. And this was before we called things promotion and marketing. You know what I mean? That's Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that that happens. But propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
Well, propaganda in Hollywood movies is built into the ingredients list. It's like if you want flour, you need wheat. Like, you're going to have to get the wheat. And if you want to be able to make movies about certain subjects, you have to be willing to work with
The
some
government.
people.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be nice if you made it so that this is what
You
we're
wanna
trying
use
to
our
accomplish,
tanks?
and
You gotta,
this is showing
put the military in a
negative
good
side of
light.
This other society, and this is and this is our hero. This is our hero who's going to go do America's bidding and go over there, and you're like, okay. And those movies are successful, and so they continue this relationship, and you become a bit of a propaganda arm for the government, and in turn, they don't fuck with you.
Right. But that's what makes information so powerful is, you know, you don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's
That
not.
is
it's,
a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully.
Right.
That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten
I don't know how you make salad on this thing.
that I understood
The
that
pattern.
things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both
Oh.
of those things. So I knew that
I
both
heard
of
this
those
before.
things will become popular in the future.
I've heard of that before. I don't remember where I heard it.
Somehow calling people the goat would be normalized over the sheep being always the most popular reference. That's just
God damn, we got some good weed, Cat. Jesus.
It just must be the
I'm
weed
trying
talk.
to figure out how to jump in on that.
You can't jump in on the Baphomet ass
Which
ring
is where
comment.
we go.
There's no way.
I always wonder whether or not all the stories in the Bible, it's just where we are experiencing it. Like the mark of the beast thing that we were talking about earlier. If that is not, I think if you had to tell a story for so many years
Yeah.
before anybody ever even figured out how to write it down, and you're telling a story about a civilization that allowed
Get
people
back in the
to put brain
pin.
implants in them, and then all of a sudden the brain implants were hijacked by machines, and people became just meat zombies controlled by corporations. That would be the mark of the beast. That would be a demonic thing. If a demon tricked human beings into wearing a hat that turned you into a zombie, that demon would be like a famous character in books and folklore.
You get your fast ass
But
over here.
that demon exists, and it's just technology. It just shows itself through this desire for the newest, latest innovations that are going to constantly fuel it becoming more and more powerful. Until one day it tricks you into letting it into its head, like a vampire. Like the vampire stories, you had to let them in, remember? That was the thing. You had to invite them in. And if you invited them in, you're fucked. But if you didn't invite them in, for some reason, they weren't allowed to kill you.
Yeah, it's
It's almost
it
like
has
the
to do with the
story.
demonic
The-
deal of consent.
You
like
have to
evil,
be
you
able
need
to
consent.
benefit from the zombie. Like there's no
Requires consent.
benefit in that taken out of context. Like if you're making them zombies so that they can mine for you, then there's a story of that over
Yeah.
there. Like that's the whole thing. Is when you look at these ancient writings, they're not they're not saying like yeah, so he was from another world, and we had to bring him our kids, and he would eat them in front of us. Like, they're not telling those stories. They're saying, like, agriculture and
Knowledge,
literature
yeah.
and,
Cosmology.
right,
Explain the origin of life. Yeah.
Like,
show the double
to-
helix DNA.
to a fault.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Yeah.
saying anything outside of mathematic parameters.
Oh my God! How did you get
the
over
wild
there?
stuff is when you look at some of those old Sumerian tablets and you see how they had the solar system mapped out. They had the sun in the center, looked just like a sun with all the marks around it. It had Venus where it should be, Jupiter where it should be, Uranus where it should be. They were all in the right spots. It's crazy. Like
The
this
Ethiopian
6,000
tribe
yeah,
have the same.
Dogons. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
crazy.
Like, no,
Crazy.
it's not. Yeah, but there is no craziness.
All right.
Everything lines up. The same grids.
Look at that. That is just nuts, man.
Just run around, do
Yeah,
your thing.
I mean, I don't know what the conventional explanation for that is, because that Zechariah Sitchin guy who said all this stuff, he was often criticized. That people said that he took things too far, that
that bird stuck.
his analysis went too far, and he just went into speculation. But god damn, a lot of the stuff that he was saying, is, like, you could see the deep implication in the actual tablets themselves. They show these gigantic beings with these little tiny people like sitting on their laps, and the people have
Yep.
tails.
Yep.
Have you seen those? It looks like genetic engineering.
Maybe it's a tail. Maybe it's piping. What?
Right? Oh,
What?
Jesus! Right, it could be piping.
You understand
Right.
what I'm?
Oh yeah, of
What
course.
I'm
it could
saying
be.
is nobody's telling these outlandish.
Right. But they're all kind of all saying the same thing. There's some higher power that comes and gives you structure, tells you what to do and how to live. And every society has
Information.
information.
That's
Yep,
what they
that's it.
give you.
They give you information. Yeah.
Every story, every civilization,
Yep.
every time.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. And that's what we're all thirsty for.
Right.
You know? And what people
Well, we're
aren't-
thirsty to monetize.
That's too. But also humans individually are thirsty for information. We always want information. We want gossip, we want news, we want bullshit, we want science. Especially if you have an appetite for things that make you think. There's so much information that people are just constantly consuming. There's bullshit information like TikTok and nonsense that just passes you by. But there's still...
Yeah, but none of that stuff is nonsense.
Well, it's not all nonsense. What it is
it's just another
something
offshoot.
to...
Yeah, you can
Get
say
your
things on TikTok
Right.
that you can't say on any other
Which is
platform. There's
what
there's
all of
definitely
this is
merit to
about.
TikTok.
From the Roman Colosseums
Yep.
to it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the Roman
King
Colosseums,
Arthur's court
I need
time,
bones.
like
that's the first viral
I need
videos,
bones.
right? Like that's,
right. Like
they would tell viral stories.
yeah, this is all about this experience of being a human being in this amount of time.
Yeah.
And interaction between other people who have done this thing you're doing.
Yeah, and in the middle of you doing it, you realize you only have a certain amount of time, and you're like, God damn it, I'm just starting to figure this game out.
Right. So understand I was probably like 5 years old when I had that moment. So I lucked out because it happened to me so early. But it wasn't about I got that part. So I thought at like that age, I was thinking, okay, so I don't know how long I'm gonna live because I'm kind of conflicted about how long people live. 100's a good number, but there's been people that 600 it seems.
Yeah, in the Bible,
No.
the King's
Like
List.
this. But I'm just gonna space it out 7 years at a time. So every 7 years, that's gonna be a life, so I don't waste anything. So I couldn't wait till I got 7 because that was gonna be the start of my first life.
Why'd you break it into sevens?
Very comfortable.
Just randomly?
I don't know what randomly means. It's a seldom seen thing in the universe,
Nothing's random.
randomly.
So just 7 seemed like a good number?
Oh damn!
Was it instinctual or was it
To people around the globe.
7? Yeah.
That's a great
It's a lucky number. That's why I asked.
Yeah, well, I'm saying not for no reason. I'm saying if you like math, I'm saying it's a great number. That's how you know that the pyramids are about something because of what they represent mathematically. That level of mathematical information is another step in civilization.
Yeah, the idea that was just by accident, like when there's
Trigonometry is not by
Yeah.
accident.
Also that they figured out like there's some measurement. I don't want to bore anybody with the details because I'll butcher it too, but it's the measurements of the height and width and the mass of the pyramid in comparison to the
golden ratio.
circumference of Earth. It's like they knew
1/23rd.
so much about like where constellations would be at certain times of the year, like in the summer solstice. It's just wild shit, man. That they
Right,
did
but-
that all in stone.
But not that wild, though, because we know that if you were traveling, that buoys are out there, and they're out there for certain reasons. And
Right.
we understand satellite positioning. And no.
Constantly need charcoal,
Makes
man. Carbon
perfect
fiber,
sense.
gunpowder.
That's what the pyramids were. That was their ultimate buoy. That was home base.
Well, I'm saying it's not different than how we would treat a planet that we had not been to before.
No, not
We'd
at all.
send autonomous
Not different at all.
drones, probably.
I mean-
We would locate where's the best place to land, where is the most hospitable of this place, and we would put something there.
And let's imagine that we landed somewhere and we found this lush, green, vibrant planet, and we found those hobbit people. And those are the most advanced people. Those Homo floriensis.
We'd steamroll 'em.
Is that what it is? Floriensis?
The fuck?
So this creature, this 3-foot tall human, imagine if we found them. I guarantee you someone would want to introduce them to tools, introduce them to how to make fire, introduce them to figure out language. try to transfer their language to our language, try to teach them our stuff, try to
Convert them to
genetically engineer
Christianity.
them and turn them into something different. If we have the tools that we have now, like CRISPR, and we found some primitive apes, and there was like a massive population of Australopithecus on a planet, and we
Yeah.
said, look, they're on the way.
Right.
Let's just give them a little boost. Just give them a little boost.
Right.
And that's what the
But
people
not
think,
too much.
Not too much.
And that's what you see with
Yeah.
all of the UFO stories is they keep popping up in these times when we as a civilization are getting ready to F it up
Right.
in real time.
In real time. Yeah. You know, that's like my comedy club. That's why I named the
mothership.
rooms. I named the rooms Fat Man and Little Boy.
Oh.
Because the UFOs started coming after the big bombs. That's when they
when
really
we invited
started
them in.
ramping up their presence. Like if you look at all the reports, the flying saucer reports,
People think that the nuclear bombs, that because of what they do, they don't just wreak havoc on a natural physical level, that they might be damaging space-time or whatever dimensional pathways that these entities use to travel. And that's why shortly after detonating the nuclear bombs, we saw our UFO encounters spiked.
they're all like 1947, 1950.
I'm not gonna let this frustrate
If
me,
you
man.
cross engineer our shit, it's gonna show up on our radar at some point. Like
Yeah.
this information is
Especially when we're using that information very recklessly. Wild. Just
even in the
eliminating
Bible
cities.
story, the Tower of
Babel.
Right.
Yeah.
This story is that, with everybody speaking the same language, it intensified shit getting
Oh,
done.
you son of a bitch.
And they could do
Anything.
stuff that
Yeah.
was hazardous.
I think they're very close to being able to translate language instantaneously in real time. Because they can do it right now with Samsung phones. They have the new Galaxy S24 Ultra.
Animals are doing it worldwide.
Oh, for sure. They have some sort of a language. They have some sort of a communication. There's something going on with animals that's nonverbal.
And with all of
Mm-hmm.
and with all of us.
You know Tom Green? You know Tom Green, right?
Yes.
Tom Green was here, and he has a mule, and he said that you have like a connection with that animal where you want to go left, and you start like looking left, and that thing starts going left. He goes, it's really crazy. It's spooky. He goes, you develop it. It takes time. They have to earn your respect. But once you develop this like loving relationship with this animal, you're tuned into it like an avatar creature. Just like when they would lock on to their dragons. He's like, dude, it's like that.
I have that with women. and with ducks and geese and Canadian geese
Yeah.
and goats. Like I
Yeah.
have, but understand, again, that's part of some religion's story.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Is that
30
one of the
seconds,
gifts
essentially.
was the relationship between humans and the animal world.
Yeah.
And it's something that all civilizations have been able to use, and it's stayed true,
Yeah. It's amazing the relationship humans have with animals.
Yeah, whether
Especially
it's a
dogs.
horse. No, there's no especially. Like
Well, all of them have
we
their own
abuse
beautiful
some of
thing.
them, and it.
Well, just horses don't interact with people the same way a dog does. That's all I'm saying. It's like the interaction you have with dogs is almost like psychic. Like the dogs are like your little friends, They know when you're in a bad mood. They know when you hurt your foot, They when they're happy to see you every fucking time, bar none.
I have that relationship with everybody. That's, all animals and like special needs people. It's the innocence and the purity that
purity.
you get. It's not
Yeah.
always good.
Right.
But it's so.
We can
Yeah.
learn from them.
No,
that.
we have learned.
Might have to
Yeah,
play
we should
some
know.
Hell Divers.
But we're scared.
soon.
People are scared of other people being shitty, and we put up like shields, and we worry about.
Well,
running
it's
into
been
bad-
proven
Yeah, fuck this game.
real.
historically that
Yeah.
Yeah, it has.
Cain and Abel is a real story. That
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like people are so violent these
Yeah.
days, and that's true. But people have been violent.
Yeah.
Like there was this point where humankind learned
Be right
that
back,
they could
guys.
take a life, and it changed things. You know.
Well, especially take a life quickly, with like when they figured out swords and bows and arrows and shit. What do you think the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is about? Because I was just reading that last
Cleanliness.
night. Cleanliness? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what took them out? That like plague?
Okay.
Because
This is
I think
69 times I've gotten canceled in this one conversation.
The stories of Sodom and Gomorrah, there's two speculations.
Right.
One of them was that God decided that they weren't hospitable enough. And the other one was God had decided that there was too much sin.
Wait a minute, that's not speculation. That's in the book.
Right.
That first one.
Right, but the
What's the second one?
respectability part, that they were not hospitable enough.
Yeah, that was a part of it.
That's part of it too. So God had just decided this. I'm gonna fuck up this whole city.
No.
Right. What's the real story though?
It's in the name of the city,
so-
Sodom,
Pillars of
sodomy. God
Two
wasn't
cities,
with
right?
that fanny
And he
shit.
said, "Find me 50 good men, and I won't do this." And then I think he said, "Find me 10 good men."
Okay, so
God
this
wasn't with that weird
story
shit.
is generally used to say that
It's anti-homosexual.
God doesn't like homosexuals.
Yeah, it's in the name.
This is the
Sodom.
story that highlights that.
Okay, so it's not
So-
just sin.
That's where the
It's
word
not
sodomy
just-
came from.
So because sodomy is even technically like oral sex.
The meaning of that word comes from
Sodom and Gomorrah. Right.
Right.
So that's
So-
why I said it includes a lot of things people think is deviant sex. Yo, I gotta piss so bad. Can we come back to this? Sodom and Gomorrah. Come back to this.
I
gotta
would
take a
love
leak.
that.
Okay.
I'm gonna launch Helldivers because I was losing audio last time I tried to play it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I
so
fix that. Since
it
palworld won't
tells
fucking
several
work.
stories, but there had to be an explanation for what the story said happened to two cities of people, right?
Right. There had to be a reason to tell that story. Most likely.
To tell this
Is he
story,
not letting the
it
man pee?
requires all of those people to really have been killed in those circumstances. And the historical evidence shows us that something like that happened. Like, those two cities really did exist.
Do we know where Sodom and Gomorrah was?
Are you
Okay,
kidding?
God wasn't with
I
that
know a
weird
guy
ish.
who will pull that
Oh, I lost
information
audio.
up so fast. and
Really?
put it
I don't
on
know
the
why this
screen.
happens
Young
whenever
Jim?
I start
Like, is there speculation
His
as to what part?
Helldivers.
sidekick is awake now. You're gonna see
Oh,
the
Carl.
best part of him when Carl wakes up.
Carl's awake now. He's
Yeah.
3:30 wake.
Okay.
Right.
It looks like
As
it's
we
still
all would
picking
be
up
if we were in
audio.
charge of our schedules.
Still sending audio.
What do they think?
I don't know why
what
this
it-
happens, honestly.
Like, is there
It's a
real
fucking
speculation
mystery
as to
to me.
where it was?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they think it was?
It's not speculation.
Yeah, I'm getting nothing.
Sure.
Something else,
Like
but
Iraq used to be Sumer.
right,
Yeah.
like these are
Prosperity.
literal places
Yeah.
that you can find on the real map.
Yeah.
That was a part of that biblical rabbit hole.
I think it might be a driver's issue.
My only
Okay,
concern
I
is
know it worked last time, but I'm gonna
how
have to
do
end the
these
stream.